Alright, today we're going to learn how to make a Firefox extension. I'm going to show you the skeleton and how you can do this for yourself. First, what is a Firefox extension? Well, a Firefox extension is something that, like Firebug, is a Firefox extension. You can go to your add-ons and see all the different extensions that you have. So we're going to make one of these, and they can do tons of stuff, pretty much anything. So, first thing you're going to do is create a folder. So, I'm on my desktop. I'm just going to create a new folder and call this sample, right? Go into sample. Now, in here, we need to have a folder called Chrome. Chrome in Firefox language refers to all this stuff up here, the address bar, all these buttons. That's the Chrome. Okay, so we're gonna have a new folder and call it Chrome. Okay, inside of that folder, we're gonna have a new folder called Content. That's where all of our files are gonna go. And inside of Content, I am going to have one folder for my images. Okay? So now I've got a kind of a structure going on. Inside of the sample folder, next to your Chrome, we're going to need two files that tell the extension what to do. So open a text editor, and we're just going to save out file, save as chrome.manifest. Okay, manifest. Okay, and let me make sure I'm going to save these. So desktop, and then sample, sample, chrome.manifest, and let's do one more, and we're going to call that one install.rdf. It tells Firefox how to install it. Okay, so those two files, and then in Chrome, inside of our content folder, what we're going to have is we are going to have a CSS file, a JavaScript file, an interface file, and an options interface file. So let's create those sample ones real quick. So we're going to create a new file here and save this blank one as we're going to call this sample.css. Okay, because you're going to need CSS, and I saved that in the wrong place. Let me fix that real quick. Sample.css needs to, and that needs to be gone. And we need to put that inside of our content. Okay, so there's sample.css. Now we're going to make a new one, our JavaScript file. Save as sample.js, and I'm going to put that in the right spot this time. Okay, we're also going to need now the Chrome, the language that this uses is called Zool, X-U-L. Really big nerds will get the joke, but we need to create an interface Zool file. Okay, so we're going to create another blank document, and this is going to be our interface basically. So I'm going to call it interface.zool, X-U-L. And then we're going to need one for options. So options are, when you go to let's go to add-ons, and let's go down to extension developer, or how about any one of these? Firebug? No? None of them? One password. No? Okay, well here's one. So this preferences button. See how they all have a preferences button, but some of them decide not to use it? Well, if you want to use it, you can click it, and then you can see these preferences. Okay? That's the preferences window. So we're going to define that. Again, that's an interface, so it's going to be a Zool file. We're not going to put anything in it in this tutorial, but we are going to create it. So we're going to call that options.zool, right? Okay. The last thing we're going to need is we're actually going to use, and I saved over a file, didn't I? Yeah, boom. Okay. Now, the next thing, we are actually going to be using jQuery in this, so I am going to copy a jQuery file and put that in there. Boom. Okay. Now we got all our files that we need. Let's go ahead and create, work on these install.rdf files. So let's do the chrome.manifest first. This, just like the name says, manifest. This is going to tell our application where our stuff is. So the first thing is we need to tell it where our content is. Well, our content, we're going to call it sample. So tab, sample, tab, and now ours is going to be located in Chrome slash content. That's where our content is located. Now the next thing we need to tell is we need to overlay our interface on top of Firefox's interface. Okay, so to do that, we're going to say overlay, and then tab, and then we're going to say Chrome : / browser/content/browser.zool. Now this is the location of the browser's interface. Now this is, I'm going to show you, if I'm going to put this in the browser, it's going to be some freaky stuff here. If I paste that in the browser and go to it, Firefox actually loads inside of itself. And I can actually use Firebug to actually inspect the elements. So you can see, let me click on the home button here, you can see that that's a toolbar element, toolbar button element. That is the language of Zool, not HTML. This is what we're going to use to define our interface. Okay, so let's close that out. So we're going to overwrite this with ours, which is going to be now the URL structure that you're going to use from here on out to get to files inside of your extension is Chrome : the name of your extension, which we called sample, and then /content. Now inside of content, we called it interface.xul, and that's how we did it. There you go. So now that's done. Now our install at RDF. I'm just going to paste in one that I already have and then tell you what it's about. Basically, it's this format. It's a XML file in RDF. We're defining what the RDF namespace is. So in a description tag, we're going to have an MID, which is going to be, it needs to be a word at some website, the version of your software, the type of your software, which 2 is for Firefox extensions, the name of your software, then then we're going to have a description of it, and then the creator, which would be me in this case, the icon URL. Okay, so we're going to do Chrome : sample content images icon.png. So let's actually put that in there. So I actually have an icon right there. Okay, let me take a look at it. Boom. Okay, it's a 48 by 48 PNG, and that's pointing right to it. And then a website, squarebracket.com, and then our options URL. So if you don't have this, then that preferences button will be grayed out, but this is pointing to that. And then this has to stay exactly like it is except for the version number. This is the ID of Firefox. This tells you what, because Mozilla makes other things that this works with, like Thunderbird and SeaMonkey. Well, for this is Firefox. We're going to work in 3.5 and 3.6 dot anything they put out. Anything after 3.6, this won't work until we update it. Okay? That's our install at RDF. Now, what we need to do is we can actually go ahead and install this version. Actually, let's go ahead and put some sample code in here. So sample.js. So what we're going to do is we're going to load in jQuery as a no conflict. Boom. So when the page loads, jQuery, we're going to install jQuery no conflict, and we're going to give the $sign to what we want, and then we're going to create a new function called console, and then give it a function called log, and we're going to kind of tell Firebug that we want to use the console here, because since we're not in the document, we have to. Anyway, this will let us do console.log, basically. So now what we can do is actually do a load. So in normal jQuery, you do document.ready. Well, this isn't going to work here because document refers to the entire window Firefox, not the page, okay, and not our document either. Okay, so what we need is gbrowser, okay? So this is the document, like all this stuff. We want gbrowser, which is the thing. It's the element that holds the browsers, basically. So you got a window, and then you got browsers. Like you have multiple tabs, right? So we're gonna do so gbrowser is our thing. Just trust me, gbrowser. And then we're gonna do a .load, just like we always do. So we're not .ready, .load. Okay. And then I need parenthesis load bracket. Yeah, cool. Okay, and now now we can do our console.log and say hello. Okay, so now we need to actually install this in the browser. So we're actually going to close out all these files. I'm going to make a new one so it doesn't go away. And we're going to, oops, okay, awesome, great, good stuff. Okay, my text editor just died, but that's okay because I just finished what we needed to do. So now we're going to go back and we're going to take these 3 files and we're going to compress them. So compress. Now you need to change this to an XPI. So change it to sample.xpi. And you don't have a type spot, but I do. And when you go to save, you need to tell it, yes, change the type to XPI. So now it's a sample.xpi. Now you're going to open Firefox and you're going to drag that XPI into Firefox. Boom. And now it's going to ask you to install. You're going to say go ahead. And it's going to say sample 1.000. Now you're going to restart Firefox. And with all good luck, assuming all of that went appropriately, it was installed. Sorry, down here. Where is it? Okay, it was installed. And there's our icon that we told it. And let's go ahead and load Firebug. And let's open a new window. And it says hello. Now you have an extension that has been installed into the browser.